What's good, people? This is Bonnie-tastic. My name is Max, and today I want to try and share some of my different techniques for investing. You know, you could just go with the buy one of everything. You could go with the just buy everything new that comes out, buy the really expensive stuff. I don't know. I feel like there's other ways you can navigate this. There's other ways you can win. Okay, I'm going to show you some ways that I use, some logic things I do. Let's start with my first one. Is when I first came back into this, I would try and buy the oldest thing that was still cheap, that was sealed. So back then it was XY black and white boxes. I mean, when I got back in, they were like $50 to $100. Like, they were so cheap. This is like 2018. And obviously I bought a lot of them, you can see from my channel. But yeah, like, if you're coming in today, obviously that's not an option, but you can look at other generations. You can look at Sun and Moon. So for instance, before I started recording this, I was shocked to see how cheap some of the tag team GX boxes are at the moment in Japanese, especially when you look at how expensive they are in English. You know, they've had a recent rise. Sets like Unified Minds, Team Up, they're flying. Cosmic Eclipse are doing so well in English. On the Japanese side, they've not done anything. They spiked, obviously, like an insane amount in 2023, maybe a bit too soon, and then they crashed. And they've just not really done anything since. I mean, some sets, Full Metal Wall, Night Unison, sets like that, you can still get them for like £120, £140, like 160 USD. And we're talking about buy it now. You might be able to get them even cheaper on auction. Those are great. I mean, what are they? 2018 boxes, 2019, 2018. That's 5-6 years ago, nearly 7 years ago. Okay, we're going into 2025 soon, and they're that cheap. They are very desirable. You know, with the Japanese equivalents, they didn't take the best cards out and make them promos. That's only an English thing, and the English boxes are so expensive. So I feel like there's room there. You know, they're getting on. They're quite old, and they're not insanely expensive for what they are. Dark Order was a set that really caught my eye because there was one available. Buy it now for £105. Pretty weak set. Jasmine, I think, is the only card in there worth anything. You got Incineroar, Ampharos as like GX cards. Nothing too crazy. Fairy Rise is a little bit better of a set. It's a Mimikyu set. You've got Mina, is that what it's called? The one with the paint. Slightly more expensive, but again, like, it's a unique box. The box art's fantastic. It's 6 to 7 years old, and it costs, you know, this half the price of like a good. Okay, it's cheaper than Matchless Fighters, for example, which came out years later. I don't know. I'm just saying. Okay, there's old stuff that's still pretty cheap that is way out of print, and people are sleeping. I'm saying that is a good sort of thing to come into. If I was coming into this today, that's the sort of stuff I'd have my eyes on. It can be Japanese, it can be English, it doesn't matter what language. It's just buying something that's old, that's out of print, that is just, it stands out as being a bit too cheap. You know, it's the things around it are way more expensive, and this thing has some quality to it. Like those Tag Team GX sets, like I was talking about, alternate arts in those sets are still quite expensive. Right, moving on. A product that contains a mix of sets. So tins contain 4 booster packs typically, or 5, and oftentimes it'll be 2 or 3 sets in there. Another product here, collection box. We're going to talk about these 2 collection boxes in a sec, but I just want to name some other products. You've got triple blisters, sometimes have a variety of packs. Things like the Charizard UPC, the one at the end of Sword and Shield, it had like 5 or 6 different sets in there, 16 booster packs. You know, why would you buy this? So this is to spread your bets. So if you don't know what set to go for, buy a product that has most of the sets in it, and it will naturally move up when that set moves up. So if you're really indecisive like me, you can't pick a set. You don't know whether to go all in on Fusion Strike, or all in on Chilling Reign, or all in on Battle Styles. You know, buy a product that has all of those, because when any of the sets move, so will this product. So this retailed for the same price as this. This one is worth a lot more. Why? Because of the pack selection. Now, this is the next important bit. This is probably the most important bit about spreading your bets and buying a multi-pack product, okay? This has 2 Scarlet Violet base packs in, which are probably the cheapest modern packs at the moment. So, you've got 1 Lost Origin, and you've got 1 Silver Tempest. Now, Lost Origin's pretty damn good. Silver Tempest is pretty good too. But it's held back by these 2 Scarlet Violet packs. So, eventually I do think this will be worth something, because I do think Lost Origin's a really good set, and I do think Silver Tempest is pretty good as well. And Scarlet Violet's not that bad, it's just overprinted at the moment. So I do think this is a good thing to buy, but I think this is a much much better thing to buy. A couple of them here, because we're looking at 2 packs of Lost Origin, like we said, is probably the best pack in that box, and then you've got 2 packs of Evolving Skies in this as well. Okay, go look at what Evolving Skies is for a single pack on eBay. What is it, like £12? So that's instantly 24. And then what are these, like £3.50, £4 each? Let's say £4. It's 8. So 24 plus 8 is £32. You know, when this is retailing for the same price as the Cyclozar box, you want to go for the one that's got the sets that are the hottest. Okay. Now, when the collection box is new and all the packs inside are new, say if all the packs are Scarlet Violet packs, then what you'd want to do is look at the total set value, or you look at the highlights of the sets inside. So if that had Paldea Evolve packs instead in the Cyclozar box, you know, I think it'd be worth a little bit more. I'd be in more of a rush to get it. The quality of the sets inside, you know, that's going to determine what that collection box is worth. So the best thing you can do if you cannot be bothered to research any of these sets is to buy something like a Charizard UPC, where you get a spread of all of them. Buy tins, you know, buy collection boxes, and just try and do at least a little bit of homework on what is inside of those packs that are in those boxes, because you could pick. I could have gone all out on those Cyclozar boxes and ignored the Kyurem ones, and I would be way behind. If I went all in on the Kyurem boxes and ignored Cyclozar, I'd be winning, right? So do have a look at these multi-pack products, because there is value in them. My last one I want to say, and this is more of a speculative one. I can't prove like what's going to happen here because this is early days, but I just thought it might be wise. So for instance, let's talk about one example in Sword and Shield and one example in Scarlet Violet. Okay, the one example in Scarlet Violet which comes to mind is the Greninja from Twilight Masquerade. Okay, what about it? So in English, this card is very expensive. In Japanese, it's still pretty expensive, but it's nowhere near the price of the English. It's the highlight of Twilight Masquerade. It's probably the reason why Twilight Masquerade is going to do okay in the future, along with Carmine and Perrin. But it's mainly about that Greninja, right? And that is what's making the set do well. That's what's making everyone talk about, oh, this is a really investable set. But when you look at the Japanese equivalent, what set is that from? Crimson Haze. Crimson Haze is about the same price as all the other cheap boxes at the moment. It's no different from Cyber Judge. It's no different from I don't know, Wild Force. It's like it's down there with, it's in the 4,000 to 5,000 yen range, which is so cheap. Like, are we just ignoring that Greninja's in this set? I feel like if it's got the potential to go crazy in English, why can't it do the same in Japanese? I don't understand what the rule is there. I feel like if it can prove itself in English, surely it can prove itself in Japanese. I remember there was times where in English, Umbreon and Rayquaza vmax were, you know, really different in price to Japanese, and then eventually they kind of came to similar prices for a bit. And I feel like there is a massive gap between English Greninja and Japanese Greninja in price, and I feel like that might be a shout there, because that box Crimson Haze is not worth any more than, you know, the other sets that don't have cards that are really expensive in. So buying Crimson Haze based on how Twilight Masquerade and Greninja are performing might be a good idea. And another example from Sword and Shield that I was going to say, the English Astral Radiance Machamp V, I think that's the most expensive card in the set, even above Dialga and Palkia, I'm pretty sure. And for some reason, like, people just gravitate towards the English Machamp V. The Japanese Machamp V is cheap, and so is the box that it comes from, relative to all the other sets. I mean, Time Gazer is not, it's probably one of the cheapest Sword and Shield sets still. So there you go, it's another example. If the English Machamp V can go up really high, don't know why the Japanese one can't. And the Japanese one comes from a box that's probably one of the cheapest in Sword and Shield. Same way that the Greninja comes from a box that's one of the cheapest in Scarlet Violet. So that there is another thing, you know, like I said, it's speculative, because the Crimson Haze hasn't gone up yet. Time Gazer hasn't gone up yet. This is purely like just me saying, well, why not? You know, if it can do it in one language, why not the other? So those are my 3 tips today. So there's I'm going to add one more actually. So, do you know I said like buy an old product that's still cheap? I want to say if you see an old product that's way out of print and it's cheaper somewhere else, maybe you have to import it or something like that. It basically, if you can get it into your hands and you can flip it today and earn a profit and it's out of print, that might be a good thing to buy. Because if you already can flip it and earn profit, then you're safe. You know, you are already kind of like, you don't need to worry about anything. You can feel confident in that purchase and not panic about it. And you don't need to worry about it going up, because even if you sold it today, you're fine. You know, you've earned a profit, or you're at least broke even. Now, with an item like that, it's so easy and comfy to just sit back and watch it appreciate, because like even at the point of buying, you were never losing. You were never going to lose on that product. So that's something else I'd like to add. If you can flip it today for a small profit and it's out of print, then maybe just buy it and hold it, because, you know, if worse comes to worse and you do have to sell it, you're still in the green. So yeah, that is my tips those are my tips for some investing techniques. Sorry if I rambled, I went on, I don't know, I'm trying to speak slower, or I'm trying to like articulate myself better. I feel like I rush sometimes, or I just blurt out loads of random shit. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this was interesting and educational. If you have any tips for any other ways you invest, or, you know, things you use, logic, please comment, you know, not just so I can learn, but so everyone else can learn. And yeah, please subscribe and like the video. I love you.